Thank you for being with us today. I'm really excited about the conversation we're about to have on talent activation. I'll tell you what we mean by that, but first, you probably want to know who's talking to you. So I want us to introduce ourselves, and I'll start. My name is Monica Guillory. I'm a Human Resources Director with Donnelley, a global multi-channel communications company with employees literally working all over the world. So it is important that we find out how to activate our talent, how to make everybody feel included so that they can do their best work. I get to do that in my formal role as an HR leader, but also creating a sense of belonging as the diversity and inclusion leader within our organization. My colleagues are going to join me in this conversation, and we want to save our time for what really matters, so I'll stop talking and let them introduce themselves as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Charissa Wagner. I am the VP of Talent Acquisition and Development with Taylor Morrison. We're a home builder. We operate in 8 states and we have 17 cities. I oversee recruiting and training, and we're a fairly newer department. We were created about 2 years ago, and so excited to just talk a little bit about what we've done over those 2 years.
And hi, I'm Jessica DiCicco. I'm the Vice President of Learning and Development with Randstad US. We are a global organization, and we're actually the #1 staffing firm in the globe. We are going to be talking about talent activation, and I'm excited to share with you what Randstad has done in this area as well. In my role, I'm responsible for management and leadership development, as well as anything that spans across all of our lines of business.
Yeah. So talent activation, you're probably wondering, you know what talent is, you've heard the word activate. What are we talking about? We're talking about companies taking strategic, intentional steps to activate talent throughout the employee life cycle. We're not talking about how people are feeling, but rather what they are doing in the organization. And organizations are working to create specific strategic experiences that activate the talent in the organization and allow them to do the work that is needed. We have some great strategies we want to share with you, and let's just dive into a couple of our questions, and then we can share some of our real-world experiences about what we're seeing. Let's start with this one. What are some of the innovative ways to use talent activation to develop high-potential leaders who've been tapped for the C-suite in the organization? You want to start?
Absolutely, thanks. So I'll share 2 programs that we have at Randstad. The first is our Senior Executive Program, which we name SEP. And so with that program, we will fly our top leaders who are tapped for that C-suite over to our global headquarters in Amsterdam. And they'll go through this program, and they fly out there a couple times a year, and it's a year-long program. And they go through certain modules where they'll learn about executive presence or financials for that level of the organization. And then it all combines at the very end with a project that they're assigned to complete by the board. And so one of the other things that they get is they get exposure to our board of directors globally. They also get to network with other high potential leaders around the globe for Randstad, so it's a great experience for them to create a network and then to also be able to network with the board members and to work on real life problems that, quite frankly, we could implement after that year-long program for us to use in our organization.
You know, our executives don't get to go to Amsterdam, but they do get to experience a pretty rich curriculum, because these top leaders and top performers that have been tapped for the C-suite, we find that it's critically important that they first know how to know and manage themselves. And so the first part of their experience is knowing how they show up, what their real brand is, not what they think it is, but how people are experiencing them in the organization, knowing and managing yourself. The next part is knowing and managing others. All of these are people leaders, and I'd like to think we have a people first perspective when it comes to leadership. And so we take them through a series of learning modules about managing, and well, you manage yourself, leading other people. And then the third component is knowing and managing the business. So it's a 3-pronged approach. First, knowing and managing yourself, knowing and managing others, and knowing and managing the business. And we have, through this program now over several years, been able to develop a robust bench of leaders in the pipeline and leaders leading in the organization today.
And so just to piggyback off what you're saying, the other program, since I'll share the other one with you, is called Transformational Leadership. Now this is a new program within Randstad that we started a couple years ago, and it's a three-pronged approach. The first approach is where we get our presidents or CEOs of the countries, and then they also fly out, of course, overseas. And so with that, they are going to learn about digital, how to manage in this digital world. And I think that we can all agree that the way that digital has impacted the workforce today is you have to have a great rapid change, and how do you get your teams and your organization to be agile, to be able to accept and be able to implement the changes necessary in this digital world. So they go through that program. There is simulations in there, so that's the innovative part of it, where they may feel like they are great leaders, but going through this program in the simulation, they may score 80% or 90% and realize that they aren't perfect. There's room for growth and opportunity for them. So they leave that program. Now, the second prong of that is after they graduate from that program, then their organization will then go through this other program. Now that's virtual, so they don't have to fly overseas for it, but it is a virtual delivery where they do have webinars, so they connect with other people, and then also they have simulations. So they do go through a similar simulation as what their leader went through. So it's a great way to start building the organization from the top down. And the other interesting part is that that leader is the facilitator of the material. So they're owning the messaging. Absolutely. And then the very last piece that we have is our operations folks and the people that are actually implementing the change go through a train the trainer program, where then they know how to effectively roll out any of the new programs that we're going to launch. So
that is excellent and comprehensive.
Yes.
Which brings me to the next question. I know you're going to want to get in on this, Charissa. Many employees feel like they're too busy to invest in their own development. Sound familiar? How do you balance talent activation opportunities related to learning with the daily job demands?
So we have done this as a program called CSC, and it stands for Certified Sales Coach and Certified Superintendent Coach. So these are our largest volume of employees being in the field. Sales and superintendents, we're a home builder. So, and what we've been able to do is we had a gap between being able to identify those employees going into management roles, but also bringing on new employees and being scattered across 17 cities. As we were onboarding employees, it was difficult. We don't really need to train them. Most of them are coming in with the experience needed to sell a home or to manage a community. What they don't have is the Taylor Morrison way of doing it. Yeah. And so we created this program so that it started out as a nomination, raise your hand, I want to do this, but we also coupled it with, hey, leaders, if you know someone who's a great coach, a great mentor, they're looked at by their peers as kind of a leader. It really strongly encouraged them to participate in the program. And so it's a year long. We're actually getting ready to launch 2019's new class. And we will kick off a training in Scottsdale with the entire group. There's about, I think, 75 of them. And we'll spend an entire day doing some personal development. And then we'll split up into sales and construction, and they'll do more tactical. What am I supposed to do with a new employee? What does that look like week by week by week? We have very clearly defined assimilation plans. Those plans sit on our LMS, and every week the new employee is supposed to go in and check off and answer questions to indicate that they have gone through the appropriate training for that week. And then what it's been able to do, it's been great because we've actually, I think as of now, we have about 13 people that have ended up promoting into management roles from this program. So continue to refine it, we're going to be implementing Adobe Connect in our organization in order to help with some of the virtual classroom training. And so we'll be hopefully utilizing that along with Cornerstone Connect, which is more of a community-based. I know you guys are going to talk a little bit about what you do with Google, but we have they'll be able to identify as a community. So every new CSC group will be able to kind of put additional learning in. So every quarter they'll have specific learning that they're going to need to do. So it continues to refine year over year. In
each of our examples, when we're activating talent, you're describing a lot of blended in-person mentorship, using technology, which I think brings us to the next question, and many of you in the audience are nodding about this integrated plan. How have you successfully used social technologies to activate younger workers or your workers in general?
Yeah, and I would say that, for us, it's not about just younger workers, it's for all of our employees. And when we look at social elements, we are implementing in all of our learning programs. And what we'll have is that they'll go through the program or the class, and then afterwards they will go and post, okay, how are you implementing this in your day-to-day? What are some best practices? Also, before we even do that, we're having them review a case study and then post, how would you approach this problem? So it's a safer feel for them, it's a safer environment to say, this is how I'd approach this case. And then we have the other participants then commenting about, okay, that's a great idea, have you tried this? So it gets them to get more comfortable in that social environment. And then we'll have them practice on their own in their own world based off of what we taught them in the class, and then they'll post socially for there. The other thing that we've done outside of our programs is we had, for October's Learning and Development Month nationally, we had our leadership challenge, and we had our top HR executive, our Chief Human Resource Officer, start the challenge by saying this is what his greatest lesson in leadership was. And from there, then he challenged 2 other people to share their greatest lesson learned in leadership. And I think what that helped with is for our younger workers or our newer employees to see the vulnerability of our Chief Human Resource Officer and all of the leadership among the organization. It's okay to be able to fail sometimes, but it's what you do after you fail that really defines who you are. And I think that was a great way that we leverage social to be able to impact and engage and have them feel like, okay, they're human too.
Absolutely.
And so that was a great way.
That's a great example. We're also leveraging social. Many of you, we're on a Google platform, so we use G+ communities, and they're growing literally every month within our organization. We're about 1.5 years into this digital revolution, and that's a component of it. But what we're doing, in addition to augmenting learning itself, is to create that sense of belonging throughout the organization, regardless of where an employee sits. Everyone has a handheld device, so even if their day-to-day work situation doesn't require that they be in front of a laptop or on their computer every day, they can access information, see what their colleagues are doing at different locations through their G+ community to get news and information. It also is a way that we can share and create an organizational cadence around who we are, and we can amplify and promote the behaviors that reflect our values and reflect the growth and the kind of culture that we want within RRD. We can blow those things up, and it creates a desire in people to get that kind of growth and recognition and respect within the workplace. The other way we leverage social is that more and more our employees tell us they want to be aligned with an organization that's doing great work. It's a business that's making money, that's growing, that is profitable, but also that is intentional about giving back in the communities in which we live and work. And so through our social communities, we also promote community outreach events that we can do as an organization regionally. At least twice a year, we even orchestrate these give back events around the globe where RRD employees everywhere are doing something in their communities, and then we post the pictures and the impact on social, and everybody feels more loyal to the company and like we're a part of something really, really great. And that activates talent, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, we do the same thing with our business resource groups. We have post, like anything that we do, whether it's a walk or fundraiser or whatever, then we post the pictures and then we'll share them within our Google Plus communities.
It's like we do in families. You have to remind people that they had a good time and you do have fun because the work will speak for itself every day. Everybody has a long to-do list and things to do. But activating talent is creating all the experiences that human beings want to thrive and to feel like they're contributing and making a difference and having impact together.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.